Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see. Okay. How's everybody doing today? Let me see if I can get in here and share this live. Hold on. All right. We're going to share it there. And then I'm also going to share. So, what I've decided and figured out to do is to definitely go live more so from my Monique J brand page instead of from the Monique J, in a sense, business slash personal page, and then share. So I wanted to come on and talk about. There are a bunch of things down in the pipeline right now that are changing, and yeah, things that are changing that can potentially affect your finances, and especially those of you who work independent contractor, either for yourself or with the company, and they are paying you as an independent contractor. Now, a lot of you have found that that is a good thing in some instances, just because of the fact that as a independent contractor, you're able to when you're driving to your job, or when you're driving to the job that you're contracting at, or say you work from home and you have home office and all these different things, you are able to write off some of the cost. Hold on. You are able to write off some of the cost of these expenses. Well, they're right now they're doing a test. It'll be for 45 days. And then they're waiting and looking for comments from people, from those who make legislature in regards to the change. What they would basically be attempting to do, or what they want to do, is now force or kind of make those companies who are paying you as a independent contractor, because you may be working from home. Now they give you a time to work, so that is kind of one of the differences of why you don't technically qualify as an independent contractor, when they have a specific start and stop time, and they're holding you to requirements. Then technically you are considered an employee. And so what the government is looking to potentially do is have them basically convert you and actually pay you as an employee, instead of being able to say you're a contractor. That way, those companies will be required to, of course, pay into Social Security and Medicare for you, take it from your pay, and of course offer benefits and things like insurance and stuff like that. Now, from some instances, of course, people may feel like, oh, that's good. But for those persons who have been working as contracted employees, and who are, just say, for example, at home, um, they may not, you probably may not like that, just because of the fact that now that means a lot of those taxes and stuff that you were usually paying after your quote unquote business expenses, or your contractor expenses, which your contractor expenses, of course, if you're from home, would definitely be your internet, your office supplies that you're buying in order to do that job, the space that you are utilizing to do the job. A percentage of that area, that percentage of that area comprises of your home, is able to be deducted for a percentage of utilities, of course, because you need electricity, you need heat in order to do your job. That space, if you're only strictly using it to do that job, that contracted job in that space, then that percentage amount of your rent or your mortgage is able to be, mortgage interest is able to be deducted for you as a contractor. Well, of course, all of these deductions generally would come prior to you being taxed. So you're not taxed, that's not a part of your taxable income. And so what you're basically able to do is cover a percentage of your cost that it takes for you to do this contracted position. You're able to deduct that before your income becomes taxable. Well, if this new law comes into a play, then that option is kind of going to be taken away, because then these companies are going to be required to transfer or convert you over to an employee, which means that the government, of course, any taxes and stuff that you would be responsible for is going to be taken off the top. So now what that means is technically your expenses would be the same if you're doing it from home. But if this company now is forced to convert you into an employee, they're going to take Social Security, Medicare, federal income tax off the amount of pay that you have been being paid without increasing the amount of pay that you're making. And a big bulk of the reason why you probably took the job, took the rate of pay that you took, is because you were technically going to be able to make those deductions that you would be entitled to as a contracted employee who is technically a self-employed person. So that's going to mean that the companies are going to either be, because people aren't going to like that, right? So the companies are going to either be forced to pay you more, because you're going to want more if now this bulk, or just say, we know self-employment tax is 15.3%. So you're going to have that minimum. And then depending on what your life or whatever is like, the minimum tax bracket is 10%. So now there's going to be off the top 25% potentially, but a minimum of 15.3 deducted from that pay that you're used to normally getting without any taxes coming out. Now that is going to be deducted prior. Now, in one instance, that could be good, right? Because now I have clients, and I've had them where they don't do any of that. And I even know, as much as I advise that you need to take out your 15.3%, you need to take out a minimum of 10% in taxes of your net. But when I tell them net, that's because I would give them the figures that they are legitimately able to deduct from that contracted or independent contractor income before it's considered taxable income. We give that legitimate amount, not because you went to go shopping and all these other things, but the legitimate amount, business expenses, which, like I said, would be supplies that you purchase for that week or that month, which would be a percentage of your internet. Of course, you can't do the full internet if you're working from home and you are using that internet for your personal use as well. It's going to be the percentage of the space that business is being done from your home. The utilities, the mortgage interest, the rent. So all of these things, generally at first, you were able to deduct that percentage from your income before it becomes taxable. Then whatever that bottom line amount is, which is the net, whatever that bottom line is, that is what you would then be paying 25 to 30% of taxes on. Well, okay, so understand. If we now you're not able to do that, then that means that's going to be 25% taken off the top, and even though you still have the same expenses. They still have not brought back the non-reimbursed employee expenses. So the fact that you're now technically an employee of this company because they've been forced to convert you to an employee, now those costs that you're paying or that you've been paying, you won't be able to deduct those anywhere. You won't be able to get credit for paying them because you're now an employee. So what you're going to have to do, and if this is you, if you're someone who's contracted to work at a company or something like that, you're going to have to if this law goes fully into play after they do this test run of 45 days, you're going to have to go and kind of renegotiate your salary. And you're going to need, and it'll be my suggestion, that you need to request probably an increase in salary or pay of 25% minimum. So if they're paying you If you've been getting paid, just say $20 an hour, you're gonna need to ask for about a $5 raise in order to still be ending up with the amount of money that you're used to normally ending up with. And I don't know if they're going to be willing to do that. Now, that's for persons, of course, who are contracted with companies and contracted with different places. Now, if you are an independent contractor, you're someone who, just say you're a cosmetologist, or you are a mechanic, and you're in business for yourself, right? Right now, and nobody is actually giving you a 1099. You are responsible for keeping track of all of your income and all of your expenses and stuff yourself. That's a different, that's going to be different. Things are, from my understanding, are going to basically kind of remain the same for you. But if you are a person who is self-employed and like a truck driver or something like that, and you have your own company, but you contract yourself out to different carriers, and they pay you, and then they give you a 1099 for the amount that they're paying you. There is a possibility, because those markets are going to be affected as well, because there's a possibility that those companies are going to, based on what the criteria and the requirements are, they're going to be, having to potentially turn you in or try to convert you over to an employee. Now, if they are anything like me, right, and these companies, and they read, and try to make sure you understand every point and every part of the rule, then they potentially will not be responsible, won't be able to convert you, because, of course, like I said, what makes you a contractor is a big part of it is having set hours, having a uniform that you must wear, having, these different things that make you, they're kind of dictating to you what to do. Of course, in the trucking industry, they're in a sense dictating when you're dispatched out for a load. They're dictating what time you have to be there for that particular thing or that particular load, but it's not on an everyday basis that you are at this place at this time. You have to be at this place at this time. Now, they do have the requirements. There is no uniform in most instances, but you do generally, a lot of companies require you to wear like a vest and things like that. So they are thinking it could potentially affect the trucking owner operator people, and those who, of course, contract themselves out to many different companies. They're thinking that this could potentially affect you guys. Like I said, with anything, that's why I always believe in reading, and I always believe in reading thoroughly so that you can clearly understand. And with most of those things, it's just reading the fine print, where you could potentially find out that it doesn't or won't negatively impact you in that way. Of course, we have tons of people who do claims adjusting and things like that, and they kind of contract themselves for different companies. They may contract themselves for one company, but that company may be working with several different insurance companies, right? And so that's why they consider those who work with them as contractors. That is another place where this could be affected. So I would just say, definitely go research, and it's basically the new rules for 1099 contracted employees. It's the Department of Labor who is looking to get this law passed. So I say research, find out how you can, find out how you can comment, because they're looking for comments over the next 45 days about what people feel and how you feel about this. Based on what I just said to you, I don't necessarily agree. I get what they're doing, because these people, of course, often don't have insurance, don't have medical insurance, don't have retirement, don't have all of these things, and so they're trying to basically, in a sense, benefit and not hurt the persons that are being contracted, because they feel like then when they get in a position, if they don't happen to have insurance, these companies don't offer insurance, they haven't went and got insurance. something happens to them, they go to the hospital. I mean, the hospital is going to have to take care of you now. Of course, what happens? It rolls back over to the government ending up paying, because when the hospital writes off the bill, if it's not paid, then they end up being able to get a tax write-off, which then means what, the government loses money. So hence the reason why they had it back in the day, prior to former President Trump, forced everyone to have insurance because it was affecting the government's pockets. So, we understand that if it affects the government's pockets, it affects the individual taxpayers' pockets, because where does the government get their money from? Mostly from taxation. So I'm not sure if anybody has a question. If you watch this, of course, definitely put your questions, any questions you have, in the comments about this particular ruling that's coming on. Like I said, I get it, but I do feel that if it passes, and these companies are now forced to convert people over to employees, I believe you should definitely ask and try to get a raise. You need to get a raise, or they don't need to hold you. Now, if they're going to give you insurance and I guess retirement and things like that, then maybe you don't necessarily need a raise. But they also, then they need to pay you the same amount, but you need to request reimbursement for the cost of the things that you now are not going to be able to be to deduct from your taxable income, which is going to be your internet costs, your any phone expenses, costs that you may have, your, what else could you, your percentage of your home office and those expenses there. Then I would ask for some type of reimbursement monthly. They may say, well, how much is it? And then see. But other than that, from the trucking industry, and of course, as you see right back there, over there, I am involved in the trucking industry. I do a bunch of stuff in it, but definitely dispatch, accounting, bookkeeping, things like that. So for that standpoint, from the trucking industry, the way that they say the company that I'm working with, the way that we handle everything is not necessarily, we're technically, working with one company. They do provide the business with a 1099, but I don't think we would be affected in a sense, because like I said, with trucking, it is going to be, if you are an owner operator, you are generally, if you're leasing your truck to someone, or if you are just contracting with different carriers because you have your own authority, you kind of get to do what you want to do when you want to do it. So you are technically still a contractor, because if you don't want to work any loads, if you don't want to take any loads, you don't have to. But of course, when you do take a load, then you're responsible for following the time constraints of actually the companies that you are picking up and loading from. And of course, they can't make you an employee of them, because that just wouldn't be possible. So you are actually not following the guidelines of the carrier who is actually issuing you the loads. You're following of the actual companies that you're picking up and delivering for. So I'm not sure if that's clear, but hopefully it is. It's a key reason why it's very important to vote. It's very important to research the people that you are voting for. Find out the way that they think, what their policies are like, what their views are, because I feel like a lot of people kind of just vote with the masses, and then the masses, the majority of the people, are in the middle and low income bracket in this country. And if you are going with who they're going for, they're generally not probably keeping and making laws and rules that are going to benefit persons who are, working to be wealthy and not middle class and low income. So you need to make sure that you are researching those things, because this is the kind of stuff that comes into play. Something we would have never thought about, but now obviously whoever is in legislature who's able to propose this is someone who's not thinking about the independent contractor or the owner operator or the person who is running their own business from their home. They're not thinking about them. They're just thinking about whoever, they're thinking about the people who aren't going to be affected. So that's why I always say research people. Don't go straight across the board with anything, with anybody. I always say this: I'm not a part of any particular party. I vote what makes sense for my life and for the life of the people that I work with and that I try to benefit. And so in some instances it's one set of people, in some instances it's another set of people. That's why I call myself a free thinker, and that's why I advise and suggest to people you do the same, because a lot of times you follow the masses and the masses are staying poor. I'm just saying. And you're not researching, and you're taking sound bites, and you're not finding out for yourself. Once you find out for yourself and open the way that you think, sometimes in most instances what you think and how you think is going to change. I always tell people I don't think and I don't plan from where I'm at in the moment, right? I think and I plan for where I know I'm going to be. And so even though in the moment I may be, just say, middle class, right? I don't plan to stay middle class. I know mentally, mindset wise, and I know based on how I move, what I do, how I think, how I believe, how I trust people, I am going to be I'm going to be a higher wage earner, right? I'm going to be I'd say upper class, I guess, wealthy. So because of that, the way that I think is in that direction, is that way. So I make decisions and I move daily for where I know I'm going, not for where I'm at. Because if I move daily for where I'm at, I'm going to stay here. And so this is hence to the topic, what I said about mindset and thinking and changing and taking action. And this is where that comes into play. There is no way that you, me, any of us are going to have something different unless we do something different. Now, if where you're at, you're satisfied with, then of course, there is no change that needs to happen. But if you are someone who you are finding yourself generally either complaining about how much money you make, how much money you have, where you live, what you want but you don't have, what you believe but you aren't realizing it, then you are generally someone who needs to take action, who needs to stop talking about it and be about it. And what I mean by that is, of course, I believe in saying out loud, which is what affirmations and things are. Saying out loud the things that you want for yourself so that you can hear them, so that you can then train your brain to start moving according to what you said you want and believe. I believe in that. But I believe in also, once I hear it and my brain absorbs it, nothing will happen if I don't change. If I don't change my actions, if I don't change what I'm hearing, what I'm watching, who I'm surrounding myself with, if I don't change it to match where I want to go, to match what I say I want in life, then it's not going to happen. It's not. If I don't force myself with the ADHD is what I call it, adult ADHD, and I am here. I have all kind of thoughts, all kind of ideas, If I don't force myself to sit down and make those thoughts and ideas an actual reality, I will constantly just be found talking about it. So I know for me, I have a lot of things that I'm doing. I have a lot of things that I want to do. I believe in certain ways, in certain thoughts, right? But I also know because of that, I have to write down the things that I plan to do, the things that I want to do. So this is just going to be a tip for all, for all my creatives, for all of my bosses, for all of my people who know that you are meant to be self-sufficient and potentially an entrepreneur. This is my tip. You definitely need to write things down. You definitely need to write down, next to the things that you write down, how long it should take you or how much time you need to commit to doing each of those individual things. Then when you do that, you need to devote and set up a schedule and a calendar. I use my calendar and my phone like clockwork. Set up a schedule and alerts to tell you what it is that you are supposed to do, that you said you wanted to do, and then you stop in that moment and devote that time to what it is that you need to do in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish. So what does that mean? That means don't put too many things in one day. Because reality is, when you put too many things in one day, that means something is not going to get addressed. Because life happens, right? Things are going to come and interrupt. If you're a mother, if you're a wife, if you're a girlfriend, if you are a teacher, if you are a coach, if you are, all of these different things, if you're them, something's going to come up in a day that was not planned. And because of that, what you don't want to do is be found blaming things coming up from stopping you from accomplishing your goals. So what you do is you don't put too much in a day. You don't put too much on your plate in a day. Now, I don't believe in there's too much, because if you can think it, if you can dream it, if you believe it, you can have it. But it's just how you go about it, how you approach. And then what you say to yourself that you actually believe you can accomplish. Because you have to know you in order to master you. So for me, example, I know I don't believe in limits. I know that I work hard for anything that I want. I know that I give 100% at all things that I do. Regardless if it's taking out the trash, I'm going to be the best trash taker outer there is, right? I know that about myself. So by me knowing that, that means that when I put things on my plate to accomplish and achieve, I put things that I know I'm going to get off my duff and do. I know that I am not going to make any excuses for why I can't do it. I know that if I don't accomplish it in the time frame that I wanted to, it's because I did not schedule appropriately, hire appropriately, because you definitely need a good team. And I also, in my desire, this is a part of me that I'm checking. If y'all know me, that's the one thing, like I say, I'm not your average coach, I'm not your average accountant, I'm not your average anything. Because one thing I don't do is fake the funk. I am authentic. I'm going to share the ups and the downs. So in that, I was saying that to say this. The reason why I know if I don't accomplish those things, it's because I allowed my desire to want for my brother and sister what I want for myself to slow me down or to make me make bad decisions. And in the time, I don't think they're bad decisions, because most of them, my decisions are behind trying to help elevate whoever that is I'm speaking to, working with, whatever. And I have to be honest and accept that even though I want to believe that everybody who says something out their mouth means what they're saying, that's not the facts. That's not factual. And there are a lot of people who are committed to complaining, committed to having a reason why they can't, and just outright lazy. And those people will potentially come around, but they're going to come around when they're ready to come around. So what does that mean for me? That means that when I recognize it, and I recognize that, I have to distance myself from feeling as though it is my job to help those persons get to wherever it is they're trying to go and they want to go. Not I'm stopping helping people, but I have to stop giving my time that is taken away from what I want to do, as well as those persons that I work with that are movement forward, that are go-getters, that are not excuse makers. I'm taking away from them because I am constantly trying to, or trusting what this person is saying and what these people are saying. They mean it. So I have to do that. And sometimes some of you who are watching this, you may have to do that too. And that's going to be all kinds of people. It could be your friends, it could be your family, it could be persons you work with. I let go and fire clients all the time. And it's because, yes, I say this all the time, I need money to survive, yes. But I'm in the business of doing what I do because I want to infect and affect and promote change. So when I work with people, I'm not just doing a service. Most times I'm not just doing a service. I am also sharing information to help make these people better, especially when I'm dealing in the finances and I can see finances. I can see mistakes that they're making. I can see how they're thinking and what they're thinking. And so I generally am trying to use my expertise in order to help better them. If I am working with people and they are just constantly doing the same thing and I don't feel like I'm being effective, being in their life isn't positively affecting them, I fire them. Because I'm not just out here for the money. I'm out here for the results. I want to see you win. I want to see people be able to be wealthy and for real be wealthy. And I mean that, and what I mean by for real means their business is in order. They're not wealthy because they just have money, but they owe a $50,000 tax bill. Their credit cards are all to the limit, but they look wealthy. That's not wealthy. If you understand credit, you understand that your cards shouldn't be to the limit, and you should not need to put your cards to the limit in order to live your life on a daily basis. Just facts. Things can happen and you may need to, just say, I always say this all the time, if you have a card that's zero interest for just say a year or something, and there's something you need to do and something you need to buy for your home, and you know within that year you are going to be able to pay that card off, then of course, because it's not costing you any more money, and that's the whole point of credit. Use your credit. But if you are going and you have interest on your card, and if you are going and purchasing things that are not mandatory, and then you're not able to pay off that card in 30 days or within the time frame of you're going to be paying this interest, which could be 20%, 29% I've seen. And so now whatever that is that you bought, you could have just saved your money for probably 5 or 6 months or a year, and then went and outright bought it cash. Because if not, you sat there and just paid double for it because you're paying this high interest on it. So those are the things that you need to be looking at. And if you cannot do some things, just don't do them. I get it. So many people are telling you, oh, I use other people's. I use the bank's money. I use this, all those things. That's awesome. If when you do the math, you ain't losing. And the bank and all these other people are winning more than you. The math ain't mathing. And if you're not sitting down with somebody who truly understands this kind of stuff, before you go make that purchase, or before you go open that storefront, or before you go do these things, then you are making one of the biggest mistakes, and you are setting yourself up to be scraping, scratching, and worrying. You don't need to do everything right in that moment just because that's what somebody else is doing. If you can't, ownership is like when I say so imperative, it takes nothing but a fair, decent credit score to sign a lease. My advice would always be ownership even in your business. It makes so much more sense to find a piece of land and build that business you want, or find someone who already has a freestanding property on a piece of land that you can purchase for them and house your business. Because now when you're paying monthly, I know storefronts are costing $2,000, $2,500, some up to $20,000 a month that you're paying into, that you've turned into a business, you've turned into something for whoever owns this strip mall or this storefront. You are paying that monthly to build equity for them. And if, God forbid, that business fails and you need to close it down, you have now spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and have nothing to show for it, because you have to, that owner is going to take that key and change them locks, and you may have the items that you had in there, but you have nowhere to even take it and put it. So just kind of pause. If you want to build wealth, and we people are saying all the time, land ownership, property is the key. And it's not necessarily has to be in the place that you live. Pull up land sales in different places that are less expensive. Oklahoma, Texas areas, all types of places in this country, and just buy the land. You don't know what is going to happen in the future, but if you own it, yeah, you're going to pay taxes on it, but taxes on it probably, especially if it's rural, taxes a year is probably not going to be much at all. Buy the land. Hold on to it. Leave it for your children. It eventually may turn into an area that becomes booming. Now you can sell off pieces of it and go buy some more. It's so many different things. Y'all, you have to change the way you think. You have to change and take off the limits that you've put on yourself and your family based on past experiences and our past and our families. They didn't know what we know. They didn't have the abilities that we have right now. So we shouldn't be held hostage based on the shackles that were on them hundreds of years ago, because those shackles are no longer here. Now, some people may feel, I said make it hard. Making it hard and making it impossible is two different things. Some things are hard because our knowledge is limited. So that's why I say be around people who know more than you. Be around people who are delving in areas that you probably never fathomed. But knowledge is power. Use it. And don't just use the knowledge you get to do scams and schemes and get quick money that you don't have the knowledge of how to utilize that money to turn that money into 5-10 times the amount that you received. Then it makes no sense. If people are just telling you how to get it, but they're not telling you how to grow it, you're talking to the wrong people. And grow it legally. Okay? You won't have a problem with paying what the government, what it's due, when you learn how to ensure whatever is due to them is the legitimate bottom line minimum of what you are required to pay them. And that's just all about knowledge and learning. What can be done and what can't be done, where you should put your money at, where you shouldn't put your money at, and just what to do. So I've been on now 38 minutes. And so definitely, if you have any questions, I put the link to contact me. I have a coaching program that is available on the Monique J Academy. All of that can be found in the link tree that I put in this attachment, and that will be in the description. So you can definitely reach out. But I'm going to tell you, and this is just for everybody, but the people I work with and the people who I have personal relationship with, business relationships with, and things like that. If your mindset isn't changing and shifting and improving, I am no longer going to allow myself to hear a lot of the stuff that is seeming to be on repeat to me. The only way things change is if we do the uncomfortable thing, and that's commit to doing the action and doing the thinking that requires change. If you're not doing it, that's fine. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but understand that when I start separating myself, when I reduce the amount of time that I am conversing with you or that I'm spending with you, because I have found grace of God. I can have fun. It's as good of a time with people who are on an upward trajectory, just as I am. Trajectory, if I didn't say that right. I realize we are all just as fun, and I love it. I love being able to let my hair down and have a great time with people who have a net worth, with people who are forward thinking, where we may be having a good time, but then right in the middle of the conversation, we talking about what we doing next, or what's going to happen next, or where we investing next, and what business we're opening next, and how we can work together to help each other. Bartering and different things like that. Hey, as long as they experts and we can help each other, that makes sense, right? Because you're saving money, but you're also growing what you're doing. So understand that atmosphere, environment is just as important as being able to think up something. You could think up ideas and think up businesses all day, every day. If they just sitting on the shelf, you ain't making no money off of them, you wasted your time. It is what it is. And I'm guilty of it too, technically. I'm guilty of it sitting on a shelf. But, of course, just not having a team and not being able to push everything that I have going on to the way that I want to. But what I can say, and I'll be honest, a lot of it is based on my choice to allow distractions. I ain't allowing them no more, y'all. And I understand life is not all just about business and things like that. And I work hard, just as hard, to make sure that things and the people in my personal life, get time and energy from me, as well as support as well. But I don't even want that many people in my personal life that ain't winning either. Because I'm not satisfied with mediocre. So I hope that this video has helped someone. I pray that everyone who watches this video, I always say it ain't going to offend you if it don't apply to you. And if it does offend you, but it offends you to start making a change, then I'm happy to be offensive in this manner. But I just want everybody, I believe there's enough out here for everybody to have the life that they say that they want. But I just want to tell you, if you're just talking and you're not doing no changing, then you need to just shut up. Because I don't want to hear it, and the people you're talking to probably don't want to hear it. Like, if you're not doing nothing to change what you're complaining about, and that ain't just action in pushing whatever that is forward, it's also changing who you talk to and changing who you're around and changing, because what all old folks used to say, you are like the company you keep. So if you're keeping a company that ain't on shit-ish, that's probably because you internally ain't on ish either. Or I know oftentimes there are people who like to be around people who are beneath them so that they can seem greater than what they really are. I'm not saying that you can't be around people that are learning from you, but you should also be around people that you can learn something from as well. So you guys are fair exchange, no robbery. But if you're totally just around people that are beneath you and there's no way at all humanly possible you guys are productive to one another outside of having an ear to complain to, they may need to just be a back of the closet kind of people. That's all. Okay? God bless y'all. Have a great day. This has been your girl, Coach Monique J. And it has been my pleasure to share a little bit of the knowledge that I have, that God has put on my heart to share. And I pray that it has inspired, motivated, and is going to infect change in your life. And lastly, remain at peace and not in pieces. God bless y'all. Have a good one, okay? See you later.